most important in a work truck? Is it an engine that runs? Is it a body that looks sleek and fancy and smooth and silky? Is it a windshield that's intact? Or maybe you want doors without holes in them. Oh, no. Oh, I know. Maybe it's an air conditioner system. Is that what's most? That's definitely what's most important in a work truck, and that is what we have here. We have an air conditioner system on wheels, and not a whole lot else. This is our 1986 GMC Utility Truck. We're planning on using this for a lot of our working projects. Carries all our tools, everything real good. We're just going to do a quick walk around and highlight some of the features and, well, non-features. Okay, so obviously the body is worn. It's underneath, it's really good. Body has some wear and tear, but that's what you want in a work truck, because you know you can kick it or something and you don't have to worry about it. It's got some, well, you know, this is a feature because if you get your door stuck, you can just reach it in there and unlock it. The utility body, it's, you know, it's not much better than the truck, but it holds all our tools pretty good, and easy access. You got nice workbench space to work on if you need it. Obviously we have our air compressor mounted up here. We got our generator on the other side. We can run small air tools on that compressor. It works pretty good. This is our trailer rig we got hooked up right now. This is, you know, it's kind of an all-purpose trailer. Got a winch on the trailer in case we need it. It's maybe 4,000 pounds. It's got brakes and everything. Nice rig. You can haul some stuff with it. This is our trailer winch. It's a 12,000 pound winch on a 4,000 pound trailer, so, you know, a little bit over engineered, but that's good. We installed this not permanently on the trailer, which I'll show you in a minute, and it's very handy. We have our deep cycle battery here. We have the winch here. There's a wired controller for it. And the feature of this winch, if you want to put it in a trailer hitch, you can just pull it in, hitch pin, and it slides right out, and you just pull your trailer power connections here to the battery that keeps the battery charged, and you slide it into your trailer hitch, and you're ready to rock and roll with it on your vehicle. We did this because I don't feel like buying more than one winch, and it's very heavy. So it's nice to just install quickly, and the receiver is welded to the trailer. You don't have to worry about it coming off. Of course, it is my weld, so you might have to worry about it coming off, but it's attached, you know. But very nice feature. So for loading, you don't have to move things by hand. It gets old pretty quick. So winch is probably worth more than the whole trailer. Bed of the truck, well, when we got it, it was pretty rough. So we just threw in some steel, patch it up. You know, well, mostly patch it up. Fix some of the holes. It'll hold weight. That's important. Come on now. There we go. It's got some wear and tear. Didn't worry so much about fixing the holes as we did just getting it strong enough to hold stuff, and you know, so you don't fall down through and wind up on the ground. That's kind of important in a truck. This is a 3/4 ton truck. Again, we got more tools on this side. We got our toolkits and everything over here in case you need them. Easy access. It is dual exhaust. Unfortunately, it's very loud. I guess the last guy thought it was a hot rod. Could be if you wanted it to be, but it's a work truck. We did, and you know, it's very important in a work truck, you got to have a nice interior, of course. You know, the floors were completely rusted out when we got it, and by completely rusted out, I mean just not there. There was a rubber mud flap on the driver's side, and that was pretty much it. It was very holey. We kind of went through the whole interior. stem to stern. This is a non-factory AC truck, but it has a dealer installed AC system, which we will show you under the hood in a minute. It's different from the factory AC system. It's kind of an add-on unit. It has a separate AC blower made by Clardy Manufacturing. That took a little bit of research. Got our trailer brake controller. We did have to rebuild the entire gauge cluster. We always replace them with LED light bulbs when we go through that, and we just kind of redo the whole gauge cluster stem to stern, so it's good for another 30-40 years. Factory rubber floors, of course, which we redid the metal all underneath that. We have photos of that. If I have a chance, I'll throw that in addition to the video. We just kind of gave it a, well, deep cleaning. It maybe had never been cleaned. It was bad. Let's just say that. This door over here has a nice dent in it, which I had taken out, but it is back. So this truck has been very stubborn through the whole process, and it wants that dent there. I guess it just, part of its personality, I guess. Nice, good. We'll call this patina. I just call it rust, but it's there. Under the hood, we got our standard 350. This is a 350. I did verify. It is the original block. It has the truck VIN number stamped into the front pad. We've got our AC compressor over here. Everything works on this truck. The electric choke, everything, even the solenoid for the idle up solenoid for the AC. Everything's here. It's got the factory jack. Everything works. New alternator. When we got the truck, it was charging at about 17 volts, which is, you know, 3 volts too high. So this truck had some electrical things going on with it, but we've gone through the whole truck. We've modified all that, made sure it's back to standard again. And why don't we start it up here, and we'll show you how loud and obnoxious the exhaust is. It does have a choke, so I'm gonna pump the throttle to reset it. Now, when we got this truck, the timing was horrifically off. It was, I don't know, 15 or 20 degrees retarded, and it started hard and ran poorly and overheated. But that's all been resolved now that we've actually set the timing to what it's supposed to be. It still sounds obnoxiously loud like a hot rod. I don't like that, but it's a work truck and I don't feel like paying for a muffler. It is underneath, like we said, it's really nice underneath, runs great. It's got TH400, 3-speed automatic, 350, which we're told has some sort of cam in it. I highly doubt that, but you know, when you sell a truck, you say it has a cam in it. You know, you can tag on a couple extra $100. It's a good work truck. It's solid. There's not much to go wrong with it. And most importantly, down here in the south, it has air conditioning. Interesting thing about this truck, when we got it, it had 60 psi of oil pressure, and that is only because somebody had rigged the gauge to read 60 psi of oil pressure. It actually does not have great oil pressure, but we're going to work with what we have. So yeah, it runs great. It does not want to look nice. Nothing about this truck wants to look brand new, but I figure that's what it wants. We'll run with it. So the generator on our truck is a 5,000 watt Briggs & Stratton. It doesn't look like a truck generator because it's not. I just took a generator, hacked it apart, threw it on the truck, and it works. Plus it's what we had. It is wired into the truck fuel tank and plumbed into the truck fuel tank as well. It just has a little clicky-clack pump on there. So it starts up pretty nice. Probably don't even have to choke it today, but you just turn on your fuel pump. You probably hear it there. Turn on your engine ignition. Let's get the fuel. Oh, maybe we do have to choke it. There we go. Pull the choke off, and it fires right up. And our air compressor is electric. Again, it's what we had. We just hacked it apart, threw it on the truck, and it works great. It'll run one small air tool at a time. It's all we need. That's what we got plugged in here. Air compressor obviously on the other side, but it's just plugged in. If you don't want it on, you unplug it. If you do want it on, you plug it right in. And it's a handy setup. We got our hose reel over there, and we'll take you over there. And we had an air compressor, just your standard Campbell Hausfeld, or whatever this is. I don't know. Yes, I was right. Made in the USA. We actually had, this is a nice Harbor Freight unit here. You know, it'll probably last for 6 uses and then go bad, but that's okay because they're cheap. But it's nice. It's you just want an air hose, you just pull it out, and when you're done, just reel it right back in again. You don't have to worry about connecting and disconnecting your air hose. Quick connect fittings. And obviously, to start this up, you just fire up your generator, make sure it's plugged in, and you're ready to rock and roll. Keep our air tools down here, very handy. So again, nice thing about a utility truck, you can just grab your gear and go. Our 1986 utility truck has a dealer installed AC system made by Clardy Manufacturing. It was installed back in 1986 when the truck came out of the factory. I'm just going to go over here real quick and give you a quick rundown on this. There's not that much information out here on this stuff, but since we've had it all apart and in a gazillion pieces, I figured we'd take the opportunity and show you just a quick rundown of how it works. Obviously, we don't have it torn down now because, quite frankly, I wasn't sure if it would work when I put it back together because it's so old, but actually it works better than some of the newer trucks we have. So this system made by Clardy uses very few dealer parts. They took the AC climate controls and they modified the back plate. It just has AC where your normal off would be, heater and defrost, and your blower fan switch controls whether your system is on or off. Lowest is off, and when you're running your blower, whether it's on AC or heat, determines which system comes on. There's 2 separate blowers and 2 separate duct systems. So the AC system is under the dash, kind of up right behind that center duct with the evaporator and everything. We'll give you a quick rundown. You can kind of see some of it from glove compartment. The air compressor, which is a York. It looks like a Sandon, but it's a York. This is, from what we can tell, the original AC compressor. Works great. It's been converted to 134A. Obviously, it has hose clamps. These are original. They just threw all this stuff in when they did it, and surprisingly, it has held up. This did not have a bracket. We just quick fabricated something to throw in here. Again, we weren't sure if everything was going to work, so we fabricated something really quick, threw it in, and I was surprised it worked. So we're just leaving it in there for now. This valve over here is not part of the system that was installed by Clardy or the dealer. This is an electric valve. You turn your AC on and it closes the valve, and it's a normally open valve. So when you turn your AC on, it closes the valve, shuts off your heater core so that you don't have heat going through the cab and kind of fighting your AC when you're working on that. Over here, under the glove compartment, you can see how they modified this. They had to cut out the glove compartment, put in the blower fan because it kind of hangs down here. This is for the AC system, obviously. The heater and defrost blower fan is still in the engine compartment. The evaporator and ductwork and everything is under here. It's right behind the center vent, actually, buried under the dash. Very hard to get to. But it's parts all made by Clardy. It's all vacuum blow molded plastic parts and ductwork and everything back there. None of the ductwork or anything is factory. They made their own parts apparently and just kind of retrofitted the whole thing in. As you can see, the original blower motor for the heater and everything and the defrost is still there. They just kind of retrofitted their system in on top of it. Just fire it up and show you how quiet this compressor actually is. So you turn the blower motor on, it's set to AC. Your AC will come on. It's blowing out the AC ducts. You have the temperature here. As you can see right now, it's about, get you in there, I don't know if you can see that, it's about 105 5 degrees in here right now because it's, you know, Florida. There's the compressor. Obviously it's spinning and does not have too much vibration, which kind of shocked us because it's a homemade bracket. As you can see, the belt situation is not ideal, but we couldn't figure out how they ran the belt. We suspect that Clardy ran the belt over the front set of pulleys, so it got the crankshaft pulley and the water pump pulley. But at some point somebody threw this aftermarket fan shroud on here, which actually blocks that belt. So instead of moving the compressor forward to line up with those pulleys, we put a double pulley on the power steering belt against our better judgment, since it was supposed to just be temporary to see if it worked. And that's what we're running the AC off of right now. And shockingly, everything works. So obviously we've got the doors open here, but as you can see, it's already cooled down to about 90 degrees. Obviously it takes a bit to catch up. It's an old compressor, it's an old system, but it's not leaky and it works. We'll just shut the door here. So obviously we've got some extra ventilation here, you know, that'll let out the cold air, but you know, you got to have airflow in an old truck. Interesting thing about these trucks, the factory AC trucks do not have floor vents, but since this is a factory heat non-AC truck, you also get the floor vents if you want that air blowing on you. So that is kind of a feature that you won't get if you get a factory AC truck, but you do get a dealer installed AC truck. We don't know much about Clardy. They don't have anything on the internet. Not many people know much about them. We can't reference part numbers or anything. Their parts do have part numbers on them, but we can't find them anywhere. But the system still works great. As you can see, it's down to 80 degrees now. That was a cold start. It's starting from, obviously, you know, it's fighting all that heat in the system, but it's putting out some nice cold air already, and it'll cool down farther. Obviously, there's no recirculation or you know, pulling air from outside mode like a factory AC truck would have. It's always pulling air on recirc from the inside of the truck. But that's just the way they did it because it would have been too hard to run another duct and another switch, etc. And that's where you really want it anyway. You want it in that recirc mode so it's more efficient. It runs good. The temperature just sitting here without air flowing through the condenser will probably, it'll get it down to about 60 sitting here in place. Not fantastic, but it works great for what we need it for. When you got it moving, you got air flowing through it, it'll cool down a little bit more. But it's a nice system and it works well even after all these years, and it's easy to maintain. And those are the important things. That's what we're looking for. We're not looking for something expensive or hard to fix. To get parts for it, that's a little bit more difficult. We did have to replace the thermostatic expansion valve under the dash because it had been sitting for a number of years and it was stuck. That is a standard part. You can still get them through Vintage Air or whatever. You just have to kind of cross-reference what you have and find the part number that matches up to it, make sure it's adjusted properly, and then everything will work. Obviously, the factory AC systems are an orifice tube system, so it works a little differently. Interesting thing about this system is it has a digital thermostatic control for the superheat. So if it gets too cold, if it freezes up, there's actually a digital box under there that will turn off the AC system, shut the compressor off, and let it warm up. It's pretty rare for back then. But digital boxes and even the factory trucks were not really a thing. They just used the simple orifice tube systems, and you know, they just let it run. And the pressure switch. This doesn't have any pressure switches in it. It keeps going until that thermostat tells it that it's either too cold or it's not doing anything. I just want to do a quick rundown on this. There's not much on these dealer installed AC systems out there, and there's just nobody knows a lot about them other than you know, maybe the random posts on the internet. Turn that off for next time. How do we know it was made by Clardy? Well, they didn't put their name on anything. The only way that we could track it down was by some of the specific parts that they made that other people have tracked down to Clardy Manufacturing. They aren't vintage air parts or any of those other things. They made their own plastic molds and things. So we know that they made those parts, so we know that they made the system. And also the compressor is a little unique, being a York compressor. Most of these would have been Sandon, or of course the factory R4 system, which is the Harrison compressor. But we do know that it was Clardy manufacturing. Other than that, we don't know much about it. If anybody knows anything about the Clardy manufacturing air compressor systems, we're always looking for information, and we're always eager to learn. And if you have any information, we'd be happy to get that from you. And this is in our 1986 work utility truck. Yes, of course, our work truck has air conditioning. It doesn't even have a complete door that holds together, but it has air conditioning because we are down south, and that's the way we roll. She's been very stubborn throughout the fixing up process, through the refurbishment of this, but I think we finally got her where we want her. Most importantly, it's got AC. So that's where we are, and we're probably going to do some more videos on this truck, but that's just a quick rundown of the AC system and just a little bit of what we know about the history. Obviously, I'm sure there's people out there that know more about it, but we'd be happy to learn more about these systems and kind of their history, where they came from, how many they installed. We don't know. Why would you install a dealer installed AC over checking it on the factory options list? Again, we don't know. I'm probably, if you're getting fleet trucks and you're getting a big order, and your fleet your fleet manager says we don't get AC, then maybe in certain areas of the country, like down south, the local fleet manager will say, well, no, we need AC. So then they'll take them back maybe and get the AC put on. That's my best guess. That's my nearest guess. We don't know about the fleet history of this truck, but it was used as a work truck its whole life, so it may have started off in a fleet, and that may be the situation. Or a dealer just got it cheap without the AC and said, well, we'll just throw an AC system on and mark it up. Again, if anybody knows any of the history of that, we're always happy to learn and post that information when we find it, so that it's there for people that are looking for it, because it's just so dang hard to find. Thanks for watching this video, and again, if you have any information, just leave it in the comments or contact us. Let us know what you think, and if you don't like it, don't comment on the horrible fabrication skills of our bracket, please. We know that's not, hey, but it works. We're gonna dub that temporary, so in case it fails, we can say that was temporary. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.